Why, hello, you amazing, beautiful people, and welcome back to another Reset content reaction video. How you all doing? At the time of recording this, I feel like I need to start specifying this at the beginning of these reactions. I haven't seen the final episode of Core 1 yet. I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 16th of June. So there you go. Now you know. Because half the time I record these in advance, and then they might not go out until like after I've seen the episode, so I'll be asking questions that have been answered. So I figured I'd just let you guys know prior to this. I'm curious about this one. One question that's popped into my head recently is, if Subaru is in there but not in there and someone's inside his head with him or whatever the heck is going on, then I do wonder if whoever's in there is also part of these time loops. Or for them, does it reset every time he resets? Like, are they conscious through all of these loops as well? That's something I've been wondering. Anyway, like, subscribe, and let's jump into. First, huge shout out to Annie News, link to the channel description. My first time ever reaction to ReZero Season 4 Episode 10's cut content.
Subaru Natsuki's murder. An intriguing story declared so by Subaru himself.
Also, we don't really seem to have any more information about being pushed
the one who killed the victim,
down the
then
stairs
could
as well.
Subaru
Like, who did that?
Be the one held accountable for it? Well, that's an answer Subaru didn't want to find out, leading to the increasingly frustrating series of events we saw in the anime. The thing is, where normally a lot of these situations could be fixed by return by death, I'm not so sure what happened this episode can. This is because within Subaru there now exists 3 personalities, 2 supposedly his own, then the very essence of Meili making for the 3rd. So even if Subaru...
Oh yeah. I was wondering, when they said 3 personalities, I was like, who the fuck is the 3rd? I was like, it's 2 Subarus and a 3rd? I don't know if it is Subaru. It's supposed to be Subaru. It said Subaru was here. But if it isn't Subaru, I don't know who it could be. Maybe there's been someone in Subaru this entire time. Maybe this isn't someone who's like... Maybe this isn't someone who has been picked up in the tower. Maybe he got them before this.
Subaru was to die and reset. I don't know if return by death is enough to clear those personalities out. What I do know, though, is that it's very interesting to see the way all these personalities interact with each other. Especially Meili, who in the novel has quite a few more secrets revealed about her. So, if you're interested in that or the deeper lore behind Subaru's
Let's find out some more about Meili.
Here's everything the anime left out from this episode. Let's get started. Episode 76, Murder is a Habit.
I can't believe there's been
covering
76
chapters
episodes
4
of
and 5
ReZero.
from volume 23 of the light novel.
Every time I see that
After
guy,
seeing
man, he's
Meili's
pulling the
lifeless
most crazy
body
duck
right in
face.
front of him, Subaru would try everything he could possibly remember from all the TV he'd watched. First it was CPR, then after it was an endless cycle of rescue breathing. Again and again, he would alternate both in hopes of bringing Meili back. Once he realized he couldn't, again, Subaru would vomit everything he'd just eaten for breakfast.
It shows a lot of character for Subaru, the fact that he doesn't have his memory, but he still did everything to bring her back.
Unlike how last time he'd gotten it all over Shala, though,
Like
this time he was able to just barely avoid Meili. At this point, all Subaru could think was of how all he's done was vomit, but really those were just pointless thoughts intended to mask his heart from the terrible tragedy in front of him. It was before Subaru would notice the writing carved into him that he would first notice the tools which had done it. You see, after looking at his hands, he would notice blood and flesh underneath his fingernails. Just like Meili, he too had been scratching at something. That's when he'd discover his arm, a difficult-to-accept reality that sent Subaru into a frenzy. In fact, the reason he slammed his arm the way he did is because it was the only thing he could do to keep this terrifying piece of himself away from him. If he was able to cut his arm off here, then he probably would have. So, as Subaru wondered whether this Subaru Natsuki was the name of an incomprehensible elder god monster, Subaru's suspicions of his old self would only be confirmed.
It is curious because one thing we haven't really brushed on is the fact that Subaru is now, like just mentioned, starting to suspect that his old self was some nefarious fucking nutcase because of everything that's going on. So he's like, man, this previous Subaru was evil as heck. Whereas then, obviously, he wasn't, but that's the conclusion he's starting to reach.
From his trust with the others to the secret with the Ridina, all that seemed impossible for the Subaru who'd just come out of the convenience store. To him, it was actually more believable that someone was instead posing as him. There was no mistaking that this handwriting did in fact match his own though, so the person who wrote this message was undeniably him. Or at least a version of him. New Subaru could only assume it was old Subaru taking his body back, leaving new Subaru wondering who he was then. It was a terrible thing not knowing who was friend and who was foe, and it was even—
The fact that it's in his handwriting is interesting, because I didn't think it was Subaru. But then if it isn't Subaru, why would they write Subaru was here? And what about the whole, like, REM thing, which is like, try and catch me next time? Is that part of all of this? And maybe whatever's inside a Subaru can jump from body to body.
more terrible that he could no longer trust even himself now. New Subaru wasn't gonna let himself be manipulated though, so now he needed to find a way to get out of this. He wasn't sure how trials worked in this world, but considering the proof etched into his arms and the proof pressed into Meili's neck, Subaru knew any jury would find him guilty. That's why he decided to hide the body, since until he knew a way to protect himself, this was the only thing he could do. He wasn't
Makes sense for him to
convince
think
himself
like
what he
that.
was doing was right, but at the very least,
He's probably
he
thinking
found
about—
it necessary.
Like, the idea of thinking about jail makes sense, because he hasn't exactly been in this world for long.
When Subaru came across Emilia next, aside from the panic, his first thoughts were of how he was still uncertain she wasn't his killer. She definitely feigned innocence incredibly well, but with her and Beatrice being the only survivors of the last loop, it wasn't impossible that she hadn't killed all the others, collapsed the tower, and lopped his head off. Like, for all he knew, Emilia could have an accomplice. Believing that was more and more difficult every time Subaru talked to her though, since her genuine compassion opened him up completely. So much so that even after lashing out over her concern for someone who was dead, her literal heartfelt response immediately filled Subaru with shame. He had already regretted his outburst without Emilia having to do anything, but Emilia's soothing heartbeat made him feel ridiculous for even suspecting her to begin with.
It's funny how it doesn't matter what Subaru we've got, they all fall for Emilia.
Not only that, this one conversation was enough for Subaru to start questioning all his other suspicions. He started to wonder whether someone was really out there trying to kill him, even going so far as to think perhaps his deaths could have all just been accidents. Perhaps there wasn't anyone bad in the tower to begin with.
Doesn't really make any sense.
Perhaps the darkest and ugliest person here was just Subaru. These were the thoughts
Is there
Subaru
someone
filled
else in the
himself
tower?
with, leading him to almost tell Emilia.
That's the thing, right? There's either someone else in the tower, this is all inside Subaru's head, or, is that it? Someone else inside the tower, inside Subaru's head, or this is one of the other people, one of our team. But it doesn't make sense for it to be any of our team. So is there someone else in the tower? Or is it like a ghost?
Emilia about everything. Because she had even gone so far as to embrace him with a hug, Subaru now felt zero reason to hide anything. Ram's arrival would unfortunately get in the way of that, and while Emilia did want Subaru to finish what he was saying, Ram's insistence meant he couldn't. Instead, Emilia would just have to remind Subaru to save it for later. Now, it was when the two arrived at the library that Beatrice would explain that she was here to investigate Subaru's collapse. Not only that, with the way this library was similar to her own forbidden archive, Beatrice felt it useful to analyze it. Of course, all that meant—
The one thing that seems to be confusing is the books. It's like, surely if they found Subaru surrounded by books, they would have looked at the books that were surrounding him, right?
nothing to
Wouldn't
Subaru
like the first thing they would have done.
until the book was revealed to be Meili's. This flipped everything right on its head, since with Subaru only moments away from trusting Emilia, fate unfortunately had other plans. Subaru could now only ask himself a series of whys, questions like why did Meili's book appear so fast and why was it found so easily?
Yeah.
Most importantly, why did it have to
wonder about
happen
that as
right
well.
when he was about to come clean? Well,
Does seem
any hope
suspicious.
of doing so was now gone, instead replaced with how to handle this new predicament. Interestingly enough though, as tragic as it was for Meili's book to be found, Subaru was determined to see what was inside it. Since his other self was sure to make an appearance, Subaru wanted to see what that person looked like. So, when Shala suggested reading the book himself, that was the exact escape hatch Subaru was looking for. There was always the risk whatever caused him to lose his—
See, right there, that's how he was found. Big pile of books, all taken out from the shelf over there, right? Nothing around Subaru, and he is weirdly placed right in the middle of the room. It does seem odd. It does seem like he was put there. Maybe he wasn't in the library to begin with.
memories was still present in the archive, but with Julius having read a book and seeming fine himself, Subaru figured it was okay to chance it. Naturally, Beatrice would oppose, since with Meili being this person Subaru had grown so close to, she was worried experiencing her death would scar his heart beyond repair.
Well, it
His
kinda
distance
did.
to her was much closer than the other Book of the Dead he read. Subaru knew he was okay to insist though, since realistically, Meili was only someone he'd known for a few hours now.
True.
To him, she was just a girl he hardly
Actually,
knew,
true. Yeah, that makes sense.
not someone whose death would break him.
So if Betty's all worried about it, from Subaru's perspective, he don't even know her.
So,
You ruined
as
my life.
Subaru
I don't even
opened
know who
the
you
book to
are.
Search for himself. The life that was Meili's would be presented in quite the interesting manner. A triplet of lines would repeat over and over, yet it's only the last one that ever changes. First, she didn't know how to live, so had no way of finding a reason to die. Then she learned how to live and didn't think to die. Then finally, after being taken by Elsa, because she didn't know anywhere else to live, that's when she couldn't find a reason to die. Then, after having watched Elsa die over and over again, never
Sabamo.
once did she think that she would actually die. It was when she finally did that her inability to grieve and her inability to fight left her wondering if her life actually had any value. You see, to her, she was always just some defective product. In a way,
Yeah,
Elsa
she was like a
was
crazy
too,
monster.
and that was mostly why they fit so well together. It was when this person she mimicked was finally gone, though, that
Keep in mind that Elsa did, like, let the other person torment her for a while. Like, turned her into an animal and tormented
after
her,
a bit of
right?
time,
We saw
Meili's
that.
soul finally made its own plea.
Lust.
Before, she had always lived doing as others wished her to live, but it was here in this cell that Meili decided to walk her own path. Or at least see where choosing her own path might take her.
I thought she said she was
At
still
the root of all
copying
that
someone.
was one single question, and that was what she should do since she was the reason Elsa died. That's the answer Meili was looking for here in the library, discreetly so until she was caught. As we saw, she obviously didn't want to be seen, but what might not have been clear was just how much she didn't want to be seen. Not only did she go back fully intent on killing Subaru, she had even considered using everything she'd set up around the tower to wipe the slate clean. The novel
She went back wanting to kill Subaru, huh? It did look like she wanted to kill him. But I'm surprised that's actually what she wanted
doesn't
to do.
specify what that is, but I can only assume it's a bunch of mob beasts ready to strike and take out everyone. In any case, with whoever this Subaru was seeing right through Meili's act, his words of helping Meili see what she wanted really resonated with her. All she wanted was to know what she wanted and what she should do next, so with Subaru offering exactly that, she was eager to finally get the answer. Unfortunately, that eagerness would lead to her death, all because of some made-up rule set. We don't know what those rules are, but in an additional line not shown in the anime, Subaru would be removing Meili knowing full well she
This time you're out on a rule infraction, but I'm looking forward to bigger things from you next time. You're out on a rule infraction, as in you... well, you're out, as in, like, you gotta die because you broke a rule. But we'll see how you do next time. So this other Subaru does know about the return to death.
be there in the next loop. Whoever this Subaru was, they were very excited to let Meili know how high their expectations were for her next time. Of course, Meili didn't understand any of what Subaru was saying, but what she did know was that she was being killed. Her last thoughts questioned whether her life had meaning or not, followed by the rage she felt knowing Subaru was killing her. It was when she got to the end of her
Well, she
rope
was gonna
that
kill
her
Subaru,
final
so,
thought
you know,
was that
fair
she'd
game.
kill him. So all this was an interesting look into Meili herself. I guess she isn't as trustworthy as we initially thought, since she was fully ready to kill Subaru here.
Exactly.
Now,
Which is
it's
crazy.
At this point the novel stops referring to Subaru.
But I haven't exactly trusted her to begin with. Like, Meili's always been the one that seems to be the most suspicious. Everyone else has kind of a relationship, other than Shaola. Like, Shaola has a relationship just because we presume she just loves Subaru to bits. But everyone else, she's the odd one out.
Whereas Subaru and instead just
Meili
calls
is
him
the odd
this.
one.
That's because Subaru's memories were so mixed with Meili's that until those memories leaked out, he would continue to be this amalgamation of both. Even his manner of speech was this weird combination of both his and Meili's. The novel then portrays Subaru's mind as this incoherent mess, a blurred line of names all melted together, unsure how to interact with each other. One could only be oneself, yet for Subaru here, he was yet to establish the line dictating that. So, If
I
he
guess he
was
just
going to
lived her
reclaim his
life,
identity,
right?
he first needed to extract it from the blend that it was stuck in.
Makes sense.
What that meant is that all the right memories, impressions, and feelings needed
The
to...
way I look at it is kind of like that sketch from Rick and Morty, where they like go inside that simulated life game. I look at it kind of similar to that.
to be plucked out. They had to be picked extremely carefully too, otherwise what would remain of him wouldn't actually be him anymore. Unfortunately, Subaru wasn't sure what was even his anymore, so what awoke after the book was yet another version of himself, one now combined with Meili. So, Subaru and Meili were now this mixed bag of identities, the novel referring to them interchangeably. It was when the group decided to go look for Meili after that Aridina would suggest Subaru read the book again. If he missed who killed Meili the first time, then all he needed to do was make it to the end the second time. Well, that was enough to make Beatrice scold Aridina, making her shout all in defense of Subaru. Immediately,
best girl
Aridina would
Betty.
say the equivalent of just kidding, framing her suggestion as a test of Subaru's resolve. She said that even if Subaru did say yes, because of the danger of mixing memories, she wasn't actually gonna let him. They were words that Beatrice could only hope was true.
Doesn't sound true. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see... It's a tough one, because with Aridina, I don't know how she truly feels about Subaru just
So,
yet.
when all was said and done, within Subaru's body there now existed 3 personalities, 2 Subarus and a Meili. Each had a wish of their own, and all those wishes were currently at odds with each other.
Would Meili still be there in a
With
time
each
loop?
fighting for dominance and each trying to grasp a future for their own self, the one that prevailed was the one that told Shala to take care of it. Now, Subaru's question to Beatrice actually has several layers to it, since with the Subaru she was so nice to being the same Subaru who killed Meili, killed Elsa, covered up his own death and did so much worse, the other Subaru just couldn't understand why.
It's fucking hilarious that to this Subaru, the other Subaru is a monster. And this entire time, he's now just going, they like this guy? This guy's a fucking nutcase. He's killing everybody. When really, we don't really know what's going on.
With the Meili of the book,
But to his
holding the
perspective,
right one
yeah.
to kill Subaru, this disdain towards Subaru was doubled since now 2 personalities disliked him. They could only wonder why everyone else saw him in such high regard. That in turn transformed into a burning envy, one that consumed everything that was Subaru. Or perhaps I should say Meili now. Well, normally one could never understand exactly who another person was, but after experiencing the very essence of Meili the way he did, everything from how she lived down to her beliefs and her philosophies were all laid bare for Subaru to absorb into himself. It's for that reason he now knew the genuine Meili, including the fact there was someone that she cared deeply for. Not only that, Subaru also came to see how her heart was broken when that person was taken from her. He saw her confusion on how to feel when it came to the people who stole her from her. That's why Meili sought out Elsa's book, because that to her would help her better understand what she really felt. That
Can you imagine what the heck would be in Elsa's book? I actually feel like it'd be really interesting, because has Elsa always been that way? Or did Elsa have something that happened to her in her younger years, some traumatic event that sent her down this direction? I feel like Elsa's story is a very intriguing one, especially considering that what we've seen with Meili chilling with Elsa, and Lust, the Archbishop of Lust, does make you wonder, doesn't it?
everything else Subaru was now aware of.
How
So
did all
if
that
the
happen?
Book of the Dead could help him understand Meili like that, then perhaps another could help him understand Subaru. Just like how Meili was searching for the answer on how to feel about everyone, so too was Subaru looking for the same. Whether he should love or hate someone, Subaru believed the answer was here in the archive. Now, putting Meili's book back didn't really matter, as according to Beatrice, the order of the archive changed every time they entered. So, just because they found a book once,
If the archive changes every single time they enter, does that answer the question as to why the book was so quickly found and located close by? Is the tower like a living thing? Did it decide to do that on purpose for some reason?
didn't mean that they'd be able to find it again. Fast forward now to the green room, and Beatrice's reaction to Subaru's wounds made it seem like these were a normal thing. Not in a way that made it seem like they came from training or fighting, but rather that it was natural for Subaru to mutilate himself. When Subaru started freaking out during this, it's because his aggressive thoughts were starting to dissipate. Meili's personality had stepped in to change that, reminding Subaru that if he was going to achieve his goal, he'd need to kill Beatrice. That's why Subaru said no, since for a moment, his more reasonable self was rejecting the negative feedback loop he'd been slipping into. He was even ready to confess should Meili's body be found, but fortunately for him, it never was. It was later when Aridina casually dropped the news that time was of the essence that she would also follow it up with a statement surprisingly relatable. While yes, just existing as Anastasia was in fact killing her, there was also the revolting feeling of residing within a container not meant to fit her. To Aridina, she felt like she was just borrowing someone's appearance, and the longer she did, the worse it felt. Well, in a way, that's exactly what Subaru was going through, so with the contents of his body not matching the container they were currently residing in, Aridina's words really resonated with him. It was after deciding to continue conquering the tower that...
Can you imagine how confusing this must be for Subaru? Subaru's memories are gone. He's woken up. He, feels like he's normal. He feels like me. But people keep telling him he's this way, he's that way. He's finding out... Emilia's face looks well weird here. He's finding out all these bizarre things about himself, and he's reaching these conclusions that seem justified in his previous self being insane. Imagine your memories are wiped. Isn't that a plot for a movie? And then, you start finding out you're the fucking bad guy.
Only Emilia would commit herself to searching for Meili still. That to her was what was most important, so that was what she was going to do. It was after Subaru's bold lie telling the group that this is what Meili would have wanted that, as a quick aside, that's when the novel would explain the murder is a habit quote. The famous detective in question was Hercule Poirot, and the essence of it was pretty much as Subaru said. The moment someone considers murdering someone who need not be killed, already they've made too grave of a mistake. Even if the first time they killed wasn't because they wanted to, and even if they despised the very act of killing, because it was a solution that they're now considering again, murder was now a habit. A habit that becomes harder and harder to shake the more times it happens.
Because
this,
it's
I think, is a good place to end, since what happens next leads into the next chapter. For now, I hope you enjoyed learning more about this one, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and comment.
Huge shout out Annie News. Link to their channel once again is in that description. Make sure you go support them. They put all the effort into these videos, and they are amazing to watch, giving you all that little extra sprinkle of information. Like I said, I still have a million questions around all of this, especially when it comes to this second Subaru, because there's a lot of elements at play that I've had theorizing in my head. I've wondered for a while if there's something to do with the memory, and that is mainly because of Rem. The fact that we saw Rem potentially wake up makes me question a lot of things, because my guess was Rem could only wake up if there was something to do with is it greed? Which is the one that ate Rem again? Is it greed? I feel like it might be greed. For now, I'll just refer to it as greed if it wasn't, my bad. But the Archbishop of Greed, whatever. That is, I assumed that was it. I didn't know if Rem would ever wake up in here unless we find some way to sort of heal them, or if it was something specifically to do with the Archbishop of Greed. But I do wonder there, because how did they wake up? We saw them awake, but when they woke up, they were also evil. That wasn't normal Rem, that was fucking evil. Which I don't think would have been the case unless the memories weren't back. But then what? Would just act evil straight away? So that's why I've got these questions there. Because of that one scene. Because of that one scene, it makes me wonder if what's going on with Subaru is somehow connected to greed. The memory thing seems to be the key here. It's always memories. And that's what's curious here. My prediction for what happened in the tower is Shaola went full beast mode, a massive fight ensued, but then somehow that resulted in Rem waking up and in this black mist being released. Which could literally just be what we've seen before in the past with the witch's essence. Maybe it's just another manifestation of that due to what Subaru was going through. I don't know. And obviously him being parked around top of her freaking head. But that's the one thing. The memories. That's the thing that keeps fucking with me here. So if Subaru has this other version inside of him, why does that version seem so mean, vicious? Is it because it's not Subaru? Are those the memories of someone else pretending to be Subaru and they're using his memories? Is the real Subaru in there? Is he trapped somewhere? A lot of questions around that. I guess we'll find them out tomorrow. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. Thank you so much for watching. If you are enjoying these, like and subscribe. It really helps. We're getting really close to 100k, so please subscribe. Have an amazing day. As always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.